Andy Sachs here with our next installment of Candid Conversations with Clients. And I've got Eugene and Carrie Singer, past clients with now several transactions, friends, acquaintances around town, all around fantastic humans. First and foremost, thank you guys for taking the time out of your busy schedules and days and to join me for a couple minutes. And welcome to our third episode of Candid Conversations with Clients.
Excellent. Glad to be here.
Thanks, guys. So we'll jump right in. And we try to start on a positive side. What from a real estate transaction process, and it can be the ones that we've done together, or even in the past, as you guys have lived in other parts of the country, if I'm not mistaken, has worked, that sticks out, that has worked for you guys overall?
So for me, the biggest thing is the real estate agent truly understanding what we're looking for. Our needs have obviously changed throughout the years with kids, pets, etc., coming on board. And, I think that as we've looked for things, the most frustrating part is when we're shown things that we've specifically said will not fit us from a type of house. So what makes it for us really positive is when, we start to really find what we're looking for, and then we can just kind of hone in. I'd rather see only a couple of houses, but they really be what we're looking for. And to me, that was the most important part, was just getting to know us and getting to know like exactly what we're looking for.
And also, I think from the selling end, having an agent who really is going to work with us to make whatever house we're selling shine, whether it's having it staged better, fixing up certain things, giving us advice that really makes a difference in terms of, potential buyers coming in and really just seeing the house sort of with its nails done, really just sort of moves things along.
Yeah,
really well as well.
And I'd say, just to add to it, just honesty in the whole process, right? Let us know up front, is your house really worth what you're asking for, right? I'd rather put it up for less than, come down off of a price that is not realistic. So we don't have people coming to see our houses or right, something along those lines. So let's make sure that the price that we're setting is really truly market readable. And we're not going to be one of those houses that just has to keep slashing prices and cutting it and, don't have it there. And that's something we've actually had a lot of good experience with. We have not had houses on the market very long, in whether it was living in Massachusetts or here in Connecticut. I mean, that's something we feel like our selling side has done extremely well.
You guys are a bit of an anomaly where I remember tell us everything we need to do to get the house done. We'll spend the money, we'll do the time, we'll get it done. Where a lot of other folks, they not across the board, but they want the bare minimum in expenditure. And then of course they want to maximize value also. And you really can't have it both ways. Now this market's different. I guess maybe everything is maximized no matter what, but you guys really jumped in full force in that process from what I recall.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we were fortunate in that we didn't have to do anything major, right? There was no you got to redo your kitchen, you got to redo your bathrooms. So taking care of the knick-knack stuff, especially the things that you pointed out, those were all going to come out in an inspection anyway. Cool. And rather just take care of it on the front end, know it's an expense and just get it out of the way. And it, whether it's a psychological thing or something, having it done and already paid for and not having to worry about it on the backside is a much easier thing mentally to deal with.
I agree. And I wish everybody agreed with that, but they don't. But what's interesting is you mentioned two things on the home search side. It's like looking for efficiency, right? Getting to know us so that at the end of the day, we're not wasting our time looking at things just because it's got the bedrooms and square footage I want, but it's not the style, it's not the location, whatever it was. So creating that efficiency and not wasting your time was one thing. And the second thing, coming off of preparing the home, both for price and preparation, was transparency.
Absolutely.
Right? Not being afraid to tell it like it is.
Right.
And those two things are the two things that we've mirrored in the past two episodes we've done that keep coming up for everybody else as well.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a great segue into, maybe we already answered, but what didn't work? What would you want to see changed in the process from a consumer standpoint? At any phase, whether it be selling, buying, preparation, closing, moving, whatever it could be. What needs to be done better?
Let me take it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think where the part that was difficult, I think in the end was more as we were trying to get to the finish line of the process. So, it was difficult dealing with, and most recent one where we did the buy and the sell, the buyers coming in with some really bizarre demands that were just out of nowhere. And I would say this was more on their agent side, them just going ahead and just throwing it out there, even though it made no sense, not trying to at least discuss it with them. There was clearly no discussion going on. She just got a list, threw it over the finish line saying, hey, can you do all this? And I mean, they were ludicrous, the
Yeah.
demand. And then I think, coming in from the other side, from the house that we were buying, it was very difficult communication with the existing owners. And it was no lack of trying from our agent side, but it was much more on the side of just, he was a pain in the neck to deal with. And
Well, I mean, listen, the full disclosure, I was the agent on three of the four sides there, right? So
Right.
we found the house, it never went that you bought, didn't go to market.
Right.
And the things that were important to you guys weren't as important to the seller of the house you were buying. And therefore the communication coming back was tough. And then I wonder after that, like, what could I have done differently? I remember as we were going through it, I'm like, guys, I don't know. I don't have an update, or it's just no. Why? I don't know why the answer is no. Or I'm trying to think, like, where should I have pressed more to get better information for you guys? I remember thinking that through the process, because it was frustrating for me as well. And it's complex because you guys are friends also. So it's harder. Like, am I getting them the information they need, they want? And we weren't able to get all that information in a timely manner from the seller. And that was frustrating. So I wonder where I could have pressed more to get that as well.
And I don't know if there's a specific spot you could have done it. I mean, some people are just difficult to work with sometimes, right?
And also the circumstances. I mean, let me back up. Let's explain that this was, COVID. There was very limited houses on the market. You did an incredible job finding us really our dream home, hit every single box on our checklist. We prevented it from going to market, which meant, we had to pay premium, of course, that was going to come along with it. But, really, I felt that the person who was selling this house really took advantage of it, and very last minute, and blindsided you, Andy, which was very frustrating, I think, for you. Ultimately, we're in our house. We absolutely love it. We got everything fixed that we need to get fixed. It had a positive ending, and that's what I like to focus on. But yes, there was probably a good, 2 months of real frustration, and it was scary.
Yeah.
Because
we didn't know, we were selling the other house. We had to know we were going somewhere else. So
absolutely.
So then really it's the same thing, right? It's like, it's transparency from all sides.
Yeah,
I think everybody.
Yeah, it really comes down to that. And again, it comes down to understanding, like we said, this house didn't hit the market because you knew what we were looking for. And you kind of said, I think I have a house that's going to be right for you. So those two things are going to just always be the consistent, pieces of all this. But, it was really interesting to see the difference, though, in how, I think, because as you said, you had 3/4 of the pie in the last transaction, how that other fourth kind of just blindly threw things over. I mean, there's no way you would have let me make some of the requests that were made of us in selling that house. And, like, to me, like, and then that just forces her to keep going back and go, no, they said no, they said no, they said no, which makes us look like terrible sellers, where the reality is, I mean, they wanted us to take out bookshelves that were, built-ins that were part of the house. Like, this is what you're buying.
It is amazing what gets filtered or not filtered, depending on the circumstances, from the agents. Or a lot of times listen, it's a business of very low threshold. It's easy to become a licensed real estate agent, and it's really cheap to remain one. And so, and we don't have the rigor of oversight that a lot of anyone that touches any kind of financial transaction has. Lawyers, accountants, financial planners, there's so much more oversight, and then held to a higher level standard that we don't have. And that's what we're trying to change. So, it's really good insight. And I'm starting to see the rhythm of here. It's like, it's transparency, sticking up for what's right, not being afraid that, listen, you might say something upset somebody in the moment, but it's the right advice, right? So from those buyers, their agents just, listen, these things are a little silly. They might be on your wish list, but you don't put them on your inspection list, type of thing.
Look, for most people, with the exception of very few who are going to be able to buy airplanes and things like that, this is the most expensive purchase you're ever going to make in your life.
It's a very emotional one.
And, with that expense comes a lot of emotion. Right. And when you're getting ready to do something like that, the last thing you want is like surprises. Right? You just want to know, here's lay it out for me, and this is what it is.
Totally. I appreciate that. So one of my favorite question, and it's more poke fun, but and it's not a prospecting question, but when will you sell again?
Our plan is to honestly never sell this
Bury me
house.
in this house.
And we say it, tongue in cheek, but
Right.
the reality is we bought this to be kind of the Northeast retirement house. Now, I expect we'll buy something else somewhere else, kind of split our time as we get a little older and want to do that. But the whole point of buying this house that has, a pool and a sport court and yada and yada and yada is so that we can have grandkids here and they can,
Yep.
they want to actually come and see us. And it's
You want,
not
you want to be the fun
yeah,
grandparents.
my grandpa, like, yeah, we get to go.
It's awesome. That's awesome, guys. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you. I'm sure I'll see you very soon.
Sounds
Hopefully,
wonderful.
look forward to it.
Thanks, guys.